Did you know that Oliver Stark has an interview on TV Insider? Oliver, yeah, 911 star Oliver Stark breakdown season 9 finale. Have I watched the season 9 finale yet? No, no, I haven't. What's your point? Why are you asking? Who you work for? Let's go watch this. Let's turn this up. Sorry, you can't barely see me. I can't, but it's a good fight. I washed my hair today and I didn't.
I think Buck is at a little bit of a sticking point in his life, looking for movement, and now obviously Theo has uh, been orphaned, which is obviously a terrible thing. And
It
I think
is.
Buck looks around him and sees all of his friends and his family with kids, and feels at a place in his life emotionally where he can show up for somebody in
Okay.
that sense. And obviously, there's not a usual connection between the two. It's not what you would usually encounter, but there is some kind of bond there or tie. Um, and as we move forward into the next season, I'm sure we'll learn more about extended family and why Buck is the one that is able and necessary to maybe step up in this situation.
I
Yeah, I think they're both.
I I see that some of my mutuals don't like the storyline. I personally love it mainly because I love the acquiring a baby tag on AOC. Sorry, my skin just feels weird right now. Don't mind this. I love them acquiring a baby. So whether it be from an ex girlfriend not wanting the kid, Theo, I have read many fics where it's Theo coming back into Buck's life through Cameron and his wife dying. And to touch on one more thing, last episode, wait, before I finish my thought, last episode they said they don't know where Theo gets his impulsiveness from. And then I stopped and I remember where Theo was born. Wasn't Theo born on Buck's couch because the mom ran away from the dad instead of having an adult conversation? I need to braid up my hair. Do I have enough braids? I don't know. Let's finish this.
In need, and Buck can really be there, and I think we'll learn a lot about himself through Theo. So yeah, I think it after such a horrendous thing happening is in everybody's best interest for now, and maybe we'll find out why as we go on to season 10.
Yeah. How much does Buck think? I don't like the way that sentence is formatted. Sometimes I look at sentences and I go,
I don't
is
know.
that my
Time
dyslexia
works weird on
acting
my
up or
brain.
is that just the way
You're
that
never
it's
quite
written?
sure if it's been a week or a month or what 6 months. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know when the moment is. I don't think it's in episode 17. There's a moment where he says to Theo, "I'd love to check in on you." I don't think he's thinking in that moment anything other than check in on. Um, Originally, I think there was talk of why in 18 Theo wasn't finding a home. But that didn't necessarily make it to screen or even I think to script. So I don't know when the exact moment would have been, but it's a roundabout accumulation of everything maybe that happens in the
Oh,
finale and the
the
need
question was about Theo.
for
Okay, now it makes more sense.
security for all.
Oh, what kind of father does he think
Strict.
Buck would
No.
be? Because he's great with kids.
I think he will
Oh,
be a father that lets Theo, and also I'm
makes
reluctant. I
mistakes.
don't know if it's father as much as it is, foster parent. I don't know what the situation will be moving forward, but I think he'll be a guiding hand. But
Mm-hmm.
I like to think,
Pause. I see everyone's headcanon that Theo would be a menace to Buck and everybody else. Like, he would be a menace. In a kid way. Like, he's running around. You're like, Theo, don't touch that. Theo, take that out your mouth. Theo, step back from the stove. Because, as you can see, like, take your eye off him for 2 minutes. He almost set the kitchen on fire. But with Eddie, he's gonna be a perfect little angel, like oh Christopher. Where did I put the cover for this? Like oh Christopher has the thing where he roasts Eddie with Buck, and he's like really well behaved for Buck. Like you'd be snarky with Eddie, but you'd be like really really nice to Buck. That, but with Theo, Theo would be an angel for Eddie. He would be causing a commotion, and then when Eddie comes in, he's like, "Hi, Eddie," and then Eddie would be like, "What you doing?" And he say, "Nothing." Like, oh, oh, yeah, I explained that just fine. I was gonna like, let me explain this better, but I explained it just fine. Oh, don't drop. You're basically balancing on my knee right now. I
You'll
just
be a
saw this one's
parent
like,
that would
let me
let
react right
a
now.
child make mistakes
Uh huh.
and maybe talk about why this or that was wrong.
Yeah.
Not a parent who is overly controlling, but is
Yes.
there to guide and support.
Hmm.
So if his friends hadn't returned to his life and then died, do you think like having kids or the topic of kids would have been something as part of his journey necessarily like in the near
Yes.
future?
Um,
Let me answer before he answers. Yes, I think him wanting kids would be possible because in season two, episode was it episode 4 or episode 2, when Eddie told him about Christopher, the first thing he went is, "I love kids." He and the way he operates around other people's kids, let me has me believing he actually does want kids for himself. I need to do my year back.
I don't know about near future, but I definitely think in his future. Obviously he has been a part of
Oh,
Chris.
one more thing. I have been saying this for years that Eddie is younger than Buck, and people are like, "No, Buck is older than Eddie." It's like, no, Eddie's younger than Buck. Y'all are just confusing it because Ryan Guzman is older than Oliver Stark. Turns out when you look at their little tag around the wrist from when both of them were hospitalized, you can see that Eddie is younger than Buck by a year and like a few days. If they're like a 2 days, like one's born at the fourth and one's born at the seventh, I think. That's the difference
Christopher growing
between
up,
your
and I
age.
think that's obviously a relationship that is near and dear to Buck. So I think
I
I
will
think
be
it's
talking
been
a lot.
within him, and there was no doubt that at some point it would come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then circumstances have led to it maybe being a little sooner than expected.
True,
So
true,
Buck's
true.
been through a lot lately, and we see that he, like everyone, is still mourning Bobby. Fortunately, they didn't lose anyone
Mm-hmm.
else in this finale, but
Thank God.
Athena was on the operating table. Eddie was
Mm-hmm.
bleeding out in the elevator
Yes.
for most of the episode. No one knew about that. How would Buck have handled it if either of them had died, on top of everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think
She's asking really good questions. I don't want to think about that though. I really don't. That hurt me to my core, thinking that they would have killed off Athena and Eddie. And and Eddie. I love Eddie. And I love Athena. But Angela Bassett is such so big that I could understand them killing her off so she can go focus on other projects. I'm happy they didn't though because I love Athena. I love Angela Bassett. And Ryan Guzman, if they killed off Eddie and they were like no chance of buddy, and I'd have to see them mourn and come back together as a team, see where Christopher would have to go to Buck because he's really in his will. I don't think I could have handled that. I don't think I could have handled that. I would have probably not watched a next episode of the show. And you might be saying, Stacey, you can't drop a show like that quick. And I would say, darling, I can't. I haven't watched an episode since I figured out that Gibbs really wasn't coming back. Once they put the other man in the monologue, that the flashing of pictures and the introducing of the characters with the actors, once Gibbs came out of that lineup, I've never watched that episode of that of NCIS. Like I went back and I watched the original few episodes. I'm on season 4 right now. I haven't watched past that because I didn't really like the when they replaced Abby with the new lab attendant, and it wasn't. Why didn't I like? It's because I got so used to Abby. That's one, and she wasn't. She wasn't really interacting with Abby nice, and then she was like, I'm just such a big fan of you. That's why I've been building relationships with everybody but you. I didn't understand that, so I was like, you're weird. Let's continue.
I think it not well. um, you know, Bobby was such a huge loss,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the ramifications of that have been felt throughout the whole season. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think adding to that would have just compounded that feeling and driven him into not a good place. But thankfully, everybody came through this time. Personally, if I was what's his name, Anatoly, the one that stabbed Eddie, I would have given him a couple more. Like he just gave him one little stab and walked away. It's pretty brave. I thought you would have given him some. But whatever, I'm glad he did.
So this last stretch of episodes was a tough one for Buck, starting with his and Eddie's road trip from Nashville going terribly wrong.
That
Before you told me it was dark, and
that was a good ass episode though. Mama's Boy was a good episode. Dave, he really clocked in and said, "Let me show y'all why I'm the British princess." That he went to work. Eddie jumped through like a hospital window, bandaged up, in pain, suffering from blood loss, to go find him. They acted their asses off in this episode. In Mama's Boy.
it certainly was. Just talk about filming that episode.
It was. You're right when you say dark, but that means for me really fun.
It was.
It was nice to get to really dive into something like
It
that. And, we
was.
almost felt like we were making a different show for an episode there. We were on location.
It was. It felt like they were channeling their criminal minds. Okay, that's what it felt like they were. They was like a little bit of criminal minds here, a little bit there. Let me bring you into the abyss, and I love that shit. I ate that. Oh, did I have a review of Mama's Boy on my page? I think I talked for like 26 minutes straight about the episode. I loved it.
And the pacing is very different. Obviously the locations are different, and it was just it felt nice to stretch what the show can be. And so, yeah, I found it a really fulfilling experience. And the director of that episode is an old childhood friend of Tim Minear, who writes our show. So they had such a great connection coming into it. And it just really felt like a labor of love. Mm-hmm. I think for everybody involved, everybody was really excited to get to do this thing that felt so different for 911. And I think it luckily really came together well.
It did. Is Buck willing to sacrifice himself for Eddie? Why? And why is that
we
Buck's
are
go
right.
to?
And Buck,
Go to.
since he was a child,
Why did
that's
I
been
say go
instilled
to?
in
Go
him
to.
that he, not
Is
that that's a
expendable.
good thing, but that he was born to help other people, and he's taken that
And like made it a
negative
part
reason
of
for
his
being born.
core.
He was, I think we put it in the show that he was born for parts. We've taken that and turned it into a positive thing for him, right?
And
that
that's
he's
lovely.
channeled that into helping people and hopefully not his own.
Like Ken said last
demise
episode,
or
he
cost
is
to
tall,
himself.
handsome, and a hero.
But that was a moment where it did show up, and I think that just speaks to the respect and love and care that he has for Eddie in the 118.
That road trip then led to Buck's dependence on painkillers.
Ooh.
What was important for you to showcase there, and how much did it mean to Buck to have everyone show up for him like they did? Because that was such a great sequence.
It was, especially that
the
little
most
monologue scene they
important
had.
aspect of that storyline for me, and speaking to Tim,
I had two
was really
addicts on my
invested in
team that week, and
really
I
wanted
loved
to,
how both the actors
I think,
played.
portray
Like
this
Frank
aspect that
Landon and Buck.
that
Same
dependency is
week.
something that can happen really
I
fast.
loved how both the
but
actors
also
like
that if
portrayed
you
it.
get
It
ahead
was
of it,
so
you can
good.
come out of
And
it really
so
fast too. I think we say it in the episode that within 5 weeks you can develop a dependency.
5 days.
But something
Isn't
like
it days?
I don't want to say this because maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's like 5 days off, and
it's days.
You have withdrawals that you can come out of it again. So yeah, I know it was important for Tim to showcase how quickly it can start, but if you handle it correctly and if you reach out to people for help, how quickly you can get to
put
the
yourself
end of it
back
as well. And then I think having the 118 and others show up for Buck in the way that they did. It just encapsulates everything that the show is. I think
Found
it really
family.
embodies
That's what
the
it's
spirit of found
found
family, and
family. They're always there
to
for
me
each
that was
other.
like quintessential 911.
That is so true. That is so true. Okay, what is Buck's mental role for Eddie
Yeah,
for
Buck is enjoying it, and
Harry?
Oliver's enjoying
Harry.
it.
I
I think when
the
we saw
name.
Buck start out of the 118, he was rebellious. He was a little too gung ho.
He was stealing fire
He
trucks
was
and calling
sleeping
himself
before
fire
he
hose
looked,
and
and
getting having sex in the fire
obviously
truck.
he cares for Harry. I think
That's
there's a like
basically his brother.
brotherly relationship,
Yeah,
with the Bobby
yeah.
tie there, and so I think he feels like he's obligated, like there's a sense of duty to look out for him, but also I think it's something that he wants to do. I think he loves and cares for Harry irrespective of that tie, and
Mhm.
wants to use the experience that he's gained over the years, and it's nice. It's funny, I didn't realize that I would enjoy it so much. Elijah who plays Harry, likes to make fun of my age compared to him, and I used to think like, oh, I wouldn't like that. He's making me feel old, but actually, I don't mind it at all. I really enjoy stepping into that, and as Buck does for Harry, Oliver to Elijah, I love being there as a sense of like, oh yeah, I've been through this. This is how I handled it, or whatever it
That's
is,
so
and
cute. That's
I
so
think that's very much a relationship that is mirroring real life,
that's
and
so
something that I'm
nice.
really proud of in the show.
I'm proud of y'all. What is your hopes for Buck in season 10 with Theo at work in
I
his
don't think
love
it will be a
life? I didn't realize
priority.
part of that.
Obviously, there's a priority that is
Mm-hmm.
placed now
Oh,
on his
yeah,
plate. I think the end of
I love
season nine
injustice.
is quite not safe and certainly not happy, right? Because Theo has been orphaned, but there's an uplifting feeling of like, I'm going to take care of you. And I think as we
Mm-hmm.
move into season 10, actually, we'll see the difficulties of, is he trying to the foster system and all these things and the difficulties, and will he have to
Oh,
fight for him, or why is nobody else fostering him, whereas his extended family? And I think we'll
oh my God! They're bringing back up the foster system. Remember with Hen and Karen? Oh my, with Hen and that's a deep cut. That's a deep
really
cut
get to
because it's
delve
gonna
into
be.
all of that, and I think
Ooh,
that will be a difficult journey. And then hopefully, as we move through that, you know, Buck leaning on those around him. Obviously, Eddie has been a single dad, and so his
specifically
friends
Eddie.
and that have similar experiences will really, be vital to Buck navigating this.
Mm-hmm.
You said because you're saying fostering. So is he looking at this as a permanent thing, or is he still not sure about that?
I don't think
I don't
Oliver
know. I don't. Well,
know.
yeah, I think it is. It's not really specified, but it's certainly not adoption, right? Not at this point. So yeah, I think he is a foster. I don't think Buck is at the end of season 9 thinking
I'm
I now
gonna.
have a child.
I don't think so
I
either.
think he thinks this was my friend's child who is now parentless, and as I say, will learn why no one else has stepped up for him,
I
and
want to
so
know
he needs
too.
someone. I don't
I'm gonna
think
braid
Buck
my
is
hair.
going, okay,
Yeah, I'm
now I'm
gonna
a
do
dad,
like big
and
braids.
I don't
I'm
know if that's what
thinking
it will
big
turn
braids,
into.
like,
But
and
as I say, I think it will
yeah.
be important to show the
I'm gonna
difficulties
hate it, but
involved
I'm
with
gonna
that
try
process.
it, and then
I'm really looking forward to seeing May's journey
me
as she kind of
too.
moves into being a nurse. Obviously, at the end of 9, we see her stepping into nursing school, and I think it will be really fun to see her brought into the kind of first responder mix.
Yeah.
Most of the characters are pretty tied to the job, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think bringing her character into that world is going to be really interesting for the show, and
And so
I'm
we're
really excited.
with Mary with May working in the hospital. I think we're gonna see more hospital scenes because the very few hospital scenes we have had is either somebody getting hurt and that one scene where they one sec wait I'm talking from this season and that one scene where Buck was going through withdrawal and he's like, "Can y'all hurry up?" Which was so unlike him that people were like looking at him like
Excited for Corinne.
I was making a confused face. And that's the end of it. I got to this interview early. It's been up for an hour. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all heard all my thoughts. I haven't shut up since I started making this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry for the quality of the video. I really just wanted to. I just thought I wanted to get this out to y'all. I'm gonna watch and react to the episode as soon as I get the chance to. Good night.